Well, we continue our discussion on sports marketing ahead of the biggest sporting event and many other opportunities available to brands. And I'm going to start with you, Michael. Let's take a look at Africa. How is sports marketing exactly perceived there?
Well, if we look around the world, there's really a maturity model where different companies and different sectors in different countries mature at different stages. What we really find is sport is such a global environment that many countries in Africa are really following the European and the American sports. So be it basketball or European football, that's really what they're watching most of the time. I mean, in Kenya, for example, many of our Kenyan colleagues lament at the state of the local football league in Kenya. In Nigeria, it's a little bit more active. But across Africa, really, the local leagues don't get as much attention as the international leagues do. In South Africa, what we've really got is a more sophisticated local market where our South African offerings get more attention in South Africa and perhaps across the rest of the continent. I think going forward, that's going to change. I think organizations like SuperSport, other broadcasters that get more involved, and also sponsors that get more involved across countries, will really lead to the development of those sports.
Yeah, but shouldn't Africa be developing its own trends in terms of sports marketing?
Well, it's a global industry. So this idea of Africa developing its own trends, for what purpose? Really, we're playing a global game. We're not going to play our own game by our own rules. We want to win at the global game. So, you know, if you're going to play football, FIFA's got the rules, whether you like it or not. And I think in the global entertainment and sports industry, we have the global rules. And whether it's the New York Yankees or Man United or Real Madrid, they've set the pace. We need to say, how are we going to compete against that in our own way? But we've got to compete against those rules.
Yeah. So Nancy, where does rugby come into Africa?
Rugby, particularly from a South African point of view, it is a very passionate sport, and we are also passionate from a Samsung point of view. It has that ability to bring people together, to bring the nation together, and very competitive. So we believe that, I mean, it is actually the next step after soccer from a sporting point of view, sporting platform point of view.
What happens if the team does badly?
We obviously do not want to be on the other side, hey? When a team, we all want to be on the winning side. So when the team does badly, I mean, it goes with the flow.
What if there's a scandal? Are there exit clauses in your contract?
No, we obviously, in terms of the contract, we have got into the contract understanding that there will be certain things that may not go right, but it goes with the territory. So, but at the end of the day, it's about the long-term relationship that you have with the brand.
Because do you think the scandal with Tiger Woods really damaged the brands that were sponsoring him?
Some. And ultimately, the brand has to decide what's the value sitting behind the brand, and which of that are you portraying through the athlete. So for something like Accenture, which was born out of Anderson Consulting, which was very sensitive about its history with Enron and all of those crises, Tiger Woods doesn't work anymore. We can't say that Tiger Woods embodies this authentic, genuine kind of guy. And so for Accenture, they've got to get out. But for Nike, Nike is all about performance. And did Tiger cheat on the game? Nike would say no. Tiger didn't cheat on the game. He may have done some really dodgy things, and Nike may be really grumpy about what he did, but he didn't cheat on the game, and so Nike will stick with him. And we see the same thing now with Ribéry in Germany. If you cheat on the game for Nike in terms of your brand personality, then you're out. But if you're really great for the game and you perform and you're edgy, and it is about edginess, and the lives of sports people outside of sport give them the edginess. David Beckham, Tiger Woods, we all know that they're on that edge, and that allows brands to really leverage and activate around them.
Jackie, this brings back to what we were discussing about loyalty towards brands.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Hayden, what are some of the trends that we're seeing in terms of sports marketing right now?
I think the biggest shift is probably from something I call quantity marketing, which is where we were talking to all these mass groups, into a more quality focus. So you're going and targeting tighter groups of people. And I'll be the first to watch what I say about TV advertising and above the line coming from that industry. But what it is, it's that the notion of creating connections, the thing we're speaking about, getting those deep and meaningful connections. There was a time back in the 80s when one brilliant 60-second ad could influence you at such significant levels that it actually helped shift your perception of a brand. Today, that's moving along. There's a wonderful article I read the other day. They say that brand building ads are the silent movies of the 21st century. It's something that's moving on. So certainly kind of the TV and mass markets have its place. If you want to build massive awareness, if you want to sell a new product, it's always got its place. But when it comes down to deep and meaningful connections, the shift is about going and finding insights and connecting with people at micro levels. There's a wonderful book by Mark Penn. He was the chief pollster for Bill Clinton, I believe, during the time of his campaign, and saw a shift. He was a bit of a trend spotter and started looking for trends. And he coined the term soccer moms, that I think is quite popular and people know about. And the shift was to say, let's not chase our campaign after middle mass America. Let's go after a very tight-knit group of people who have very tight-knit issues. And let's go and connect ourselves with those issues. I think brands should act more like political campaigners than big TV stars, you know. So what you find is that a political campaign can have a massive, big above the line, but then you find them at a small school on a Sunday morning. And that ability to move, I think, is where the future is going. Yeah. And moving into those spaces. Yeah.
Well, America has definitely coined marketing really well. They've done it with their political campaigns, sports, etc. What can Africa do better, Michael, just before we close?
Well, it's really about understanding your target market and your objectives. So those sound like really basic things, but so many organizations don't do them. So the first thing is, who are you looking to talk to and why? And what are you looking to say? And those are questions that executives often just gloss over, but they're important fundamental questions. And then what are you trying to achieve? And make sure the metrics are in place to measure some of those. I think we've got to get more creative. I think we've got to think more about how we connect and how we participate with the consumer, how we take them on a journey. Ultimately, it's about a story. And everyone loves a story, and everyone loves to be involved in a story. I mean, you think about telling your child a bedtime story. You involve your child in that story, and they love it. Consumers want to be involved in a story. And across Africa, we need to find those stories. They can be our own stories, and we need to tell them in a better way. All right.